What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And in today's video, we finally have the treasure map preparation against the brand new Gecko Moria treasure map, starting on June 15th at 1 AM PST time. And of course, when this does go live, I will likely be live streaming my playthrough of that treasure map, so definitely stay tuned for that one. So we're going to show you guys accessible teams in this video. We're not doing free-to-play teams because, I mean, with the recent structures of recent treasure maps, it is a little bit difficult to do that. So we are going to be just doing like more accessible teams, which has a couple rare recruits and other, more accessible legends, I suppose. So let's go ahead and jump into it. First of which, let's talk about the new treasure map unit. Like, what's the character that we're actually farming for here? So Gecko Moria, he is an int-driven powerhouse, which is pretty much what the Blackbeard batch is all about. Captain ability, giving you -1 cooldown, boosting those two classes by 3.5, giving them 1.35 HP, and then also reduce damage taken by 20% in turns where he himself does not attack. Very odd captain ability, considering we had like previous treasure map units that were like 3.75 and 4 times captains. This one is a little bit of a letdown in my personal opinion. And then the 13-turn cooldown special ability reduces powerhouse and driven characters' special bind by 5, which is very bizarre. Typically, when a unit removes special bind, it'll remove it off the whole crew, but this is specifically for powerhouse and driven. Also, providing the ability to remove the enemy's healing buff and resilience by 5 turns, which is pretty okay. And then it also will give your driven and powerhouse characters 900 base attack and a 1.1 chain boost. Like, it's not the greatest special ever. I think the utility is definitely the more, the more usable part of the special. The boost of the chain and also the base attack, they're just kind of whatever, but I think the utility is probably where this guy's going to see a little bit of play. And of course, with his crewmate ability, he actually resists paralysis on himself, which is kind of bad. Removing it for the whole crew is obviously the best thing. And then also resists special bind by 5, which makes a lot of sense. Support effect attaching to any powerhouse character, and it's just stats, which is very disappointing. I hate it when they do that. Let's have a look at his Pirate Rumble stuff. So he gives your int allies level 5 attack, level 5 speed, and level 5 recovery. Not bad, but remember, it is Gecko Moria, so he actually has a lot of competition with his legend counterpart, which is very good in Rumble. 28 CT, and he does a medium range 2500 fixed damage, 75% chance of special bind. It's not the greatest unit ever, but if you don't have Legend Moria, this could potentially work, but he's not the greatest unit, that's for sure. But that's the rundown of Moria. Not a very impressive treasure map, especially coming off of Sabo, which was actually a pretty cool unit. So let's go ahead now and jump into my personal teams that I have here so far for more accessible teams for this brand new treasure map. Okay, so the first boss that we're looking at here is Vasco Shot, who will reduce the cooldown of all characters by 5 turns at the start of the quest, and he himself is going to be a quick boss, so definitely having a dex-based team is going to help you out a lot in this quest. He will go ahead and change the top row slots into strength, middle row to quick, bottom row to dex, and then he also does a slot change impossible, which is kind of weird, which is not something you see too often. He also applies 3 turns of special bind, and also gives a tap timing barrier where you have to hit perfects, and that's for 2 turns. He also has an increased defense for 3 turns, and this is where a lot of these characters come in. Like, the real key units here is going to be the Roger, the Odin, and the Rayleigh. The Rayleigh, by the way, is a Colosseum unit, so he's a relatively old unit, but you can go ahead and farm him relatively easily on the Recollection Archive. He should be pretty easy considering he came out around the time of Luffy and Ace Legend, which was a really long time ago. So nowadays it should be a pretty easy Colosseum. But overall, this team is not going to have any issues with the top 4 characters, with Roger, Odin, and Rayleigh providing most of the boost that you'll really need to get through it. The next boss we're having a look at is Avalo Pizarro, who is a Psi boss, so you predominantly want int characters, and he gives cooldown to quick, Psi, and int, and his preemptive is kind of bizarre. It has a lot of different gimmicks, and that's something I've noticed with this treasure map in general, is that there's a lot of different gimmicks that you have to take into consideration here. So the right-hand side are changed into tandem slots, and then the left-hand side are changed into unfavorable slots. He'll also go ahead and special reverse your top row for 1 turn, so very, very weird. He also applies 8 turns of bind to your top row, and then also will go ahead and apply a really, really minor 2-turn 1.1 attack and a 1.1 slot effect boost. And then he also will go ahead and give a 90% damage reduction effect to himself for 5 turns. So you need someone that can remove 5 turns of Rainbow Shield, or just having a captain that can basically bypass it will also help. So in this case here, we have the Killer to help us get around the Rainbow Shield, also giving color affinity, which is very, very good. Now, Cavendish is pretty good too, because he actually removes beneficial effects, which means that the really minor attack and slot effect boost we're given, we can remove it, and then he also changes badly matching slots into matching. So characters in the left-hand side will actually receive matching slots. I don't remember if any of these characters treat tandem as beneficial. Not really the biggest, thing if it really isn't the case anyway. So the bind as well is kind of annoying. We have Caesar Clown that can help us get rid of 4 turns with double special activation, and then we also have the Robin. Now Robin is literally just here so that we can use the support of the Straw Hat Pirates to get rid of an additional turn of bind as a free-to-play option, right? So it's not the most well-built team ever, but it does get around all of the debuffs. We've also got the special reverse. We are dealing with that with the Catarina Devon special, which reduces the cooldown of our Powerhouse and Driven characters, which is good. So our top row characters of Killer, who actually have pretty decent captain abilities, should be able to get you through Avalo Pizarro. Now we're looking at the third boss, which is going to be Catarina Devon. Now, Catarina Devon is also a Psi-based boss, so you want to be building an int team here, and Strength, Psi, and int characters all receive cooldown for this quest, and on the final stage we get given a full board of block slots. Also, there is defense down immunity, so if you have a delayed, a poison, etc. conditional boost, those will all work. And there is also paralysis for 3 turns, again 3 turns of Rainbow Shield, and then also 3 turns of increased defense. And there is also a resilience buff. Now this is where the brand new 6+ Sakazuki is going to be exceptional, as Sakazuki can get rid of the block slots, giving us an orb boosting effect. And if you have double Sakazuki, one of which having the level limit break, you can have the ability to get an attack boost via that as well. In this case here, we're just using Luffy on the crew to get around that. Also the paralysis and the defense that the enemy has, Katakuri gets rid of both of those, and the actual Rainbow Shield as well, we are removing that via Sakazuki special, which is so good. So like, Sakazuki is so built to take on this quest, especially because there is also resilience. So as long as you hit 1 perfect, he's going to do end of turn damage, which enables you to get around that resilience buff for free. So Katakuri plus Akainu basically deals with everything in this quest, which makes it super easy for team building. And now we move on to the final of the Battle Rush bosses, which is against Shiryu, and he is a strength boss, so you probably want to build with more quick units, in mind. And then he also gives special cooldown to Cerebral, Free Spirit, and Driven characters, and his preemptive attack does a 60% health cut, -1 cooldown, so a special reverse by 1, and then he also does a left column special bind for 5 turns on your left side, and then also does the 8 turn paralysis to your right hand side, which is pretty annoying. So in this team composition here, we have the Robin, which can deal with the special reverse and the special bind, and then by running 2 Sabos as our captain, you can activate both specials to get around the paralysis. Sasaki gives us matching slots, though Sabo does provide a little bit of matching slots as well. And yeah, that's basically it. I mean, Marco for orb boost, Luffy for attack boost, you got Chain Boundary with Sabo. It's a really solid team overall. So this is a really nice team if you have the units, of course. Actually, nearly everything here is free to play. Aside from the Robin is definitely the most key unit though, getting around a lot of different gimmicks on this quest here. But she definitely makes this fight a lot easier. So now we get to finally talk about the final boss versus Blackbeard, and this team composition that you're looking at right now is with having the friend captain New Blackbeard as the friend captain, so keep that in mind when you're looking at this specific team here. Now, we will talk about the Intrusion boss Moria in just a moment as well, but we'll talk about Blackbeard first. So Blackbeard himself is a Psi boss, however we don't know the color of stage 2. I mean, it could be a Psi boss. Typically, they don't do that. Typically, it's going to be some random other color, so keep it in mind. But in terms of what gets cooldown here, Free Spirit, Powerhouse, and Driven all receive the special cooldown here. On Battle 2, you're going to be given a full board of block slots, and also you are going to get 8 turns of bind inflicted to your middle row, which is a lot of bind actually. and you're also inflicted with paralysis for 5 turns, and there is a defense down immunity, which means you can apply some conditional boosts, which is kind of nice. So in terms of how we're getting around this fight, we're going to be using the friend captain Blackbeard on this stage, which gets rid of the bind. It gives us the chain boundary, and if we hit 2 perfects, we get chain boundary in the following turn as well, which is super good. And also remember, we do have the super type, or the super class special, which we are going to be using in the final stage, so keep that in mind as well. Now in terms of the block slots, the free-to-play Clash Crocodile is very good, as it is able to get rid of the block slots, and it also is able to get rid of the paralysis too, which is really exceptional. So with that in mind, that should be enough to get through that stage. We have all these other random units here as well, but basically the only real important one is, like, we're using Orochi as the captain, because if we have 6 driven units on our crew, we get like a 4 times boost, which is really good, like a pretty solid free-to-play captain. And I know that there's definitely going to be other teams out there that are kind of nice with it, but this team also should be able to get the job done. So remember, if you hit 2 perfects on battle 2 after using Blackbeard, you're going to be getting the chain boundary in the following stage as well. When you reach battle 3, your beneficial effects are removed, which is kind of annoying. There is defense down immunity once again, so if you have like a delayed conditional or a poison conditional, those will work. And also, you're given a full board of type slots, and then he treats them as badly matching for 5 turns, which is where Blackbeard's super class special is going to come in, because he changes type slots into tandem, and he also gives you an attack boost to your driven and powerhouse, or just powerhouse. I can't remember. I think it's both driven and powerhouse, which is really strong, and that will be your crew's attack boost. Now, you are inflicted with more bind. You're inflicted with 8 turns of bind to your bottom row, so your bottom row is going to be inaccessible, but you will still have access to the middle row, where you can use the Blackbeard special, which also gives you a 2 times attack and a 2 times orb boost to your int characters. So your int characters on the final stage are going to be hitting extremely hard, and with all that, it should enable you to get through that stage, battle 3, relatively scot-free. Alright, so now we get to talk about the final battle, or should we say the Intrusion battle, which is technically the first battle that you're going to be encountering in the treasure map against Moria. So in this quest, Dex, Quick, and Int characters receive 8 turns of special charge. Now, of course, this is with in mind using Blackbeard, the new Blackbeard, as the friend captain, and you do say we are using a non-boosted character, being page 1. I have done the math, and if you do have him at max special level, he will be ready for when you need him on battle 3, so do keep that in mind. At max special level with the ship, of course, you will be able to get it done. So the way that this team works, of course, we have to talk about battle 2. You get a 90% health cut, which sucks. You also get given block slots, and your middle row is given 5 turns of special reverse. And this is definitely where a lot of players are going to struggle. 5 turns of special reverse is just ridiculous. I don't know why they decided to give that many. But one really good thing is this free-to-play Blackbeard that we are using, the treasure map Blackbeard. His captain ability is going to resist special reverse by 2 turns, which is going to be exceptional. You've also got the page 1 himself, and we're going to need him for the final stage to remove the attack down, but he actually resists 2 turns of special reverse on himself as well. So that's already 4 turns of special reverse resisted, and that'll mean there's only like 1 turn of special reverse that is actually given to him. And also Catarina Devon will provide a conditional boost, which is actually really good. And then we can also use Crocodile special, which will change the block slots into matching. Katakuri is just kind of here because he's a boosted unit that you can just chuck on the team who will be boosted, which is nice. And also, when you actually defeat battle 2, one of your bottom row characters will be completely blown away, which won't really matter considering we're using both of their specials on battle 2 anyways. Now when you move on to battle 3, there's going to be 4 turns of bind given to your crewmates, which is where we're using the special ability of the friend captain V4 Blackbeard to remove that. Also, there is going to be 5 turns of attack down, and we use page 1 to get around that. And also there's chain reduction, which will have Blackbeard special for that. There is also attack down depending on your chain multiplier, but again, Blackbeard deals with that. And there's a defense down immunity. And there's also an interrupt. Now, at this current point in time, we actually don't know what the trigger is for the interrupt, so this team might actually just not work, because if he interrupts to Blackbeard special, which would be a little bit weird, I don't think that is the case, but as long as he doesn't react to Blackbeard, or as long as he doesn't react to page 1 either, which we hope to God that is not the case, but if you do trigger the interrupt, removing your beneficial effects, 10 turns of despair, and also for 1 turn, 2 of your crewmates are going to be blown away, which you obviously don't want to trigger. So yeah, free-to-play or more accessible teams are going to be really, really tricky for this fight versus Gecko Moria, just because of the special reverse. That really makes things difficult. If the special reverse was only like 1 or 2 turns, you could definitely build much better teams, but considering the gimmicks on Battle 2, it really does make this fight a lot more difficult. So with all of that, that is the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and of course, I will be uploading my own personal teams after I do pulls on the Treasure Map Sugo Fest. I will be doing pulls on part 2 of the Sugo Fest, so when that part of the Sugo goes live, we will be live streaming it, so definitely stay tuned for that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it today, and if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure you go ahead and leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all of the content that I post on my channel, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, then make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But other than that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.